So our problem for this is Taj has 15 cars. He wants to organize them into equal groups. What are the different ways that Taj could organize his cars? So this problem is actually asking us to find the factor pairs of 15 so that we can find all of the different arrangements for Taj's cars. Factors are numbers that multiply to equal a product. In this case, the product or multiple is 15. In fourth grade, we taught students to use something called a factor rainbow to organize their lists of factors. So right now, we're just going to create a factor rainbow for 15. So because of the identity property of multiplication, I know that every number is divisible by 1 and itself. So 1 times 15 is equivalent to 15. So I'm going to represent this in the factor rainbow by saying 1 and 15, and by connecting them like this to show that they multiply to equal the product 15. So now I need to think of another pair of factors that multiply to equal 15. And it's helpful to follow a number sequence to make sure we don't miss any. So I know that 1 is a factor right here, and now I'm thinking if 2 is a factor of 15, or if 15 is divisible by 2. So just thinking about 15, I know that it's an odd number and that odd numbers are not divisible by 2, meaning if they're split into two equal groups, there would be leftovers or remainders. So 2 is not a factor. I'm going to keep moving on. So I did 1. I know 1 is a factor. I tried 2. 2 is not a factor. So now I'm thinking about 3. I know that 15 is divisible by 3 because 3 times 5 is the same as 15. I'm going to go add that to my factor rainbow to keep my factor pairs organized. So 3 times 5 is the same as 15, and I'm going to connect that just to show that they are a factor pair. So I tried 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to think about 4. If I skip count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, I don't hit 15. I don't land on 15, which means that 4 is not a factor of 15, or 15 is not divisible by 4. So that is a non-option. Okay, so then we tried 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next one in the logical sequence is 5. But now I need to notice that 5 is already a factor, so I don't need to write it again on my factor rainbow. I do not need to write 5 and 3 here because I know because the commutative property of multiplication that they're already factors, and that does not matter. So right up here, I have my factor rainbow just so I can see all the factors. I know I have all of the factors because in my sequence, I got to 5. I got to a factor that was already written down, so I knew I was done. If you stay in that order, you're all set. So now let's go back to the problem. I have all of the factors and factor pairs of 15. Here are my factor pairs, 1 and 15, and 3 and 5, because they multiply together to equal 15. And my factors are just listed right here in the factor rainbow. My factors are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So this number, 15, has 2 factor pairs and 4 actual factors. Okay, so back to the problem. It's about Taj organizing his cards. So I'm going to use either an array or an equal groups model to represent this, and I'm going to show all of these different ways because it's whatever works best for the student. That's what we want them to do. So our first factor pair was 1 and 15. So to show that arrangement, I'm going to go ahead and make a 1 by 15 array with dots. So we could do one row of 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's an array right there of a 1 by 15 array. So that's one way that Taj could organize his cars. Another way is a 15 by 1. So the commutative property, just flipping it, a 15 by 1 would look like 15 rows with 1 in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is a 15 groups of 1, which is the same as 15. Okay. Then our other factor pair was 3 and 5. So I'm going to show this using an equal groups model. We say this has 3 groups of 5, so I can go ahead and make my 3 groups with 5 in each group. Three groups of 5 is the same as 15. Okay, and then using the commutative property, 5 groups of 3. I'm going to use something called an open array. So 5 rows of 3. Notice I'm not actually drawing the rows. I'm not actually drawing the 3 in each row. I'm using this open array, and I know that 5 rows of 3 is the same as 15. So we're just thinking about 15 dots in 5 rows with 3 in each row, but we don't actually have to draw them one to one. And that was 5 groups of 3, which is the same as 15. So this is really showing all of the different ways that Taj could organize his cars, and we did this by using a factor rainbow to organize all of our factors.